Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Book Echo. Today, we're exploring a book that has changed countless lives, including my own, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This is one of those books that speaks to the core of what it means to truly live, and I'm thrilled to take you along on this journey to understand the power of embracing the present moment. Have you ever found yourself lost in thoughts about the past or worrying endlessly about the future? The Power of Now is all about breaking free from those cycles of worry and anxiety and learning to live fully in the present. Eckhart Tolle shares a profound message that the secret to a fulfilling, peaceful life lies in our ability to live in the now. In this summary, we'll explore how letting go of our identification with the mind can transform our lives. Tolle himself experienced a powerful transformation. He went from living in a state of constant despair to awakening to a new way of being, simply by connecting with the present. His story serves as an inspiration and a guide for all of us who are seeking peace, clarity, and true freedom. Stick with me as we delve into this incredible book. By the end of this summary, I hope you'll have a deeper understanding of how living in the present can lead to a richer, more meaningful life. If you're ready to free yourself from the past and future and experience the power of now, let's get started. You are not your mind. In You Are Not Your Mind, Eckhart Tolle begins by explaining one of the most powerful concepts in his teachings. You are not your mind. This idea can be a bit of a revelation, especially in a world where most of us have grown up identifying with our thoughts and believing that the constant chatter in our heads is who we are. But Tolle tells us that our true self is something far deeper, beyond the endless mental noise. By learning to separate ourselves from the mind, we can finally experience a profound sense of peace and freedom. Tolle describes how the mind, left unchecked, often creates suffering. It does this through overthinking, replaying past regrets, or anticipating future worries. This mental chatter takes us away from the present moment and keeps us in a cycle of anxiety and discontentment. The more we identify with our thoughts, the more we find ourselves lost in negative stories and emotional pain. It's as if our minds are running our lives for us, dragging us into a world of fears, doubts, and what-ifs that have little to do with what's happening in the present. The good news is that there's a way out. Tolle teaches that by disidentifying from the mind, we can reclaim control over our lives. He suggests practicing mindfulness, the simple act of observing your thoughts without judgment. Instead of letting your thoughts carry you away, you learn to watch them as if they are just passing clouds in the sky. This allows you to see that thoughts are just mental events. They don't define who you are. Another powerful technique Tolle shares is focusing on the present moment by connecting with the body. He calls this inner body awareness, where you bring your attention to the sensations in your body, such as your breathing or the feeling of your hands and feet. This helps anchor you in the present and quiets the mental chatter. When you're present in your body, your thoughts lose their grip on you, and you experience a sense of inner stillness. Tolle's message is clear: you are not your thoughts. The real you is the awareness beneath those thoughts, the observer. When you start to separate yourself from the thinking mind, a world of peace and presence opens up. You realize that the present moment is all there is, and in the now, there are no problems, just life unfolding. This shift, from identifying with the mind to simply observing it, is the beginning of awakening. It's the key to breaking free from suffering and finding the deep peace that lies within each of us. As we continue to explore Tolle's teachings, you'll see how this foundational understanding is crucial for experiencing the power of now. Stay with me as we go deeper into how embracing the present moment can transform your life. The Illusion of Time. In The Illusion of Time, Eckhart Tolle introduces one of the core ideas of his teachings: the difference between clock time and psychological time. This distinction is critical for understanding how time can be a major obstacle to living fully and finding true peace. Most of us live in a constant state of time-based thinking, either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, and this is one of the main causes of our stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Clock time is the practical time we need to function in our daily lives. It helps us plan, schedule, and organize. Clock time is not inherently problematic. It's essential for making appointments, meeting deadlines, and planning activities. But psychological time is a different story. Psychological time is when we become obsessed with what happened in the past or fearful of what might happen in the future. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of regret, worry, and constant mental agitation, robbing us of the joy and peace that are only available in the present moment. Tolle explains that most of our mental suffering is a result of this psychological time. We often find ourselves thinking about mistakes we've made, things we wish we could change, or moments that we wish had gone differently. On the flip side, we worry about the future, imagining all the things that could go wrong or getting lost in fantasies of what we think we need to be happy. In both cases, we are anywhere but in the here and now. The antidote, Tolle tells us, is to embrace the present moment fully. This means letting go of past regrets and future anxieties, recognizing that they are just products of our minds. The past is gone, and the future has not yet arrived. All we truly have is this moment, right here, right now. When we let go of the illusion of time, we realize that most of the stress we experience is unnecessary and self-created. To help us break free from psychological time, Tolle offers a few practical exercises. One of the simplest but most effective is to bring your attention to your breathing. The breath is always in the present, and by focusing on it, you can bring your awareness back to the now. Whenever you find yourself caught in thoughts of the past or future, take a moment to pause, take a few deep breaths, and reconnect with the present. Another exercise is to practice mindful observation. Look around at your environment and really see what's in front of you. Notice the colors, the textures, the shapes. By focusing your senses on what is happening in the present, you can quiet the mental noise and bring yourself into a state of presence. This simple shift can help you disengage from the constant thinking about time that often causes unnecessary suffering. Tolle also encourages us to notice when we are projecting ourselves into the future. Instead of thinking about what we need to do tomorrow or next week, he suggests asking ourselves, what is my current situation in this very moment? Often, when we focus on the now, we realize that in this moment, there is nothing to fear, nothing to regret, just a space of peace and stillness. By letting go of the illusion of time, we can free ourselves from the mental burdens of past and future and experience the beauty of living in the now. Life unfolds only in the present, and by staying fully present, we can experience life as it truly is, free from the shadows of the past or the fears of the future. This is the essence of Tolle's message and the key to finding lasting peace and fulfillment. Let's continue this journey together as we learn more about accessing the power of now and transforming our relationship with our thoughts and emotions. Accessing the power of now. In Accessing the Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle takes us deeper into the practice of living in the present moment, offering us practical tools to experience the now directly. It's not enough to understand the concept of being present. Tolle encourages us to actively practice bringing our attention to the here and now. This part of the book is all about simple yet profound techniques that can transform the way we experience life. One of the most effective ways to access the present moment, according to Tolle, is by focusing on your senses and breath. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. When you focus on what you can feel, hear, see, or smell, you are pulled out of your mind and into your body, into the reality of the present. Tolle encourages us to take a moment to listen to the sounds around us, to feel the sensation of our breath as it enters and leaves the body, or to notice the feeling of the ground beneath our feet. By anchoring ourselves in our senses, we can quiet the incessant thinking of the mind and find a stillness that is always present beneath the surface. Tolle also emphasizes the role of mindfulness in breaking free from habitual negative thinking. When we are not present, our minds tend to fall back on repetitive thought patterns, often negative ones. We get lost in worries, fears, and judgments, which can make life feel overwhelming. But mindfulness gives us the ability to observe these thoughts without getting caught up in them. Instead of reacting to every thought or feeling that arises, we learn to witness them from a place of calm detachment. This is the power of mindfulness. It allows us to step back from our thoughts and recognize that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them. A particularly powerful technique that Tolle introduces is the practice of inner body awareness. This is a method of connecting with the energy field inside your body to help bring your focus into the present. To practice inner body awareness, simply close your eyes and try to feel the energy within your hands. It might be a gentle tingling or a sense of warmth. Once you feel it in your hands, try to bring that awareness to your feet, your chest, and eventually your whole body. The idea is to become aware of the subtle energy that exists within you, which helps to draw your attention away from your racing thoughts and into a deeper, calmer state of presence. This inner body awareness acts as an anchor, pulling you back to the now whenever your mind starts to wander into the past or future. By staying connected to the sensations in your body, you can maintain a sense of calm presence even in the midst of challenging situations. It's a powerful way to transcend the mind and experience the peace that lies beyond thought. Accessing the power of now is not about suppressing thoughts or emotions. Instead, it's about learning to experience life directly, without the filter of overthinking or excessive identification with the mind. Tolle reminds us that the present moment is where true peace exists, and the more we practice bringing our attention to the now, the more we can live from a place of ease, clarity, and joy. The more we cultivate this state of presence, the less power our worries and fears have over us. When you access the power of now, you step out of the constant mental chatter and into a state of awareness that allows you to see life clearly, respond to challenges with wisdom, and truly appreciate the beauty of each moment. As we continue on this journey, we'll explore more about the barriers that prevent us from living fully in the now and how we can overcome them to experience true freedom and peace. Stay with me as we uncover more of Tolle's teachings on living an awakened life. The emotional pain body. In the emotional pain body, Eckhart Tolle introduces the concept of the pain body, an important element of his teachings that helps explain why we sometimes feel overwhelmed by intense emotions that seem to come out of nowhere. The pain body is essentially a collection of accumulated emotional pain from past experiences. This pain doesn't just disappear. Instead, it becomes a sort of energy form that lives within us, waiting for moments to be triggered. Tolle describes the pain body as almost having a life of its own, feeding off negative emotions and thriving on drama and suffering. The pain body can be thought of as a reservoir of old emotional wounds, moments of sadness, anger, fear, or trauma that were never fully processed. These unhealed emotions accumulate over time, and when they are triggered, they can take control of your thoughts and actions. It's as though the pain body hijacks your mind, leading you to react in ways that often create more pain and conflict. This explains why we sometimes overreact to seemingly minor situations or find ourselves spiraling into negative emotional states without fully understanding why. The pain body loves to relive the past and use it as fuel to perpetuate more suffering. It thrives on thinking about old grievances, past betrayals, and fears. When it takes over, it draws you away from the present moment into a state of reactivity and negativity. You may find yourself arguing with loved ones, feeling deeply resentful, or experiencing a sense of hopelessness, all driven by the pain body's desire to feed on these emotions. Recognizing this dynamic is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. Tolle emphasizes the importance of disidentifying from the pain body in order to dissolve it. This means learning to observe it without getting sucked into its emotional intensity. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of your emotions, you begin to see the pain body for what it is, an energy form from the past that is separate from your true self. When you bring awareness to the pain body, you weaken its hold over you. Awareness is the key. It acts like a spotlight, exposing the pain body and preventing it from taking over your consciousness without you noticing. One of the techniques Tolle recommends for disidentifying from the pain body is to stay present whenever you feel strong negative emotions arise. He suggests naming the pain body. When you feel anger, sadness, or fear bubbling up, simply acknowledge it. This is the pain body. By naming it, you create a distance between your true self and the emotion. This allows you to observe it without getting lost in it. As you do this more often, the pain body begins to lose its power over you, and you can stay more anchored in the present moment. Another technique is to use inner body awareness, which we explored earlier. When the pain body is activated, bring your attention to the sensations in your body. Feel the energy in your hands, feet, or chest. This helps you remain grounded and prevents the pain body from taking full control of your thoughts. Focusing on the body draws your attention away from the story that the pain body is telling, which is often full of blame, resentment, or fear. Tolle also emphasizes the importance of acceptance. When the pain body surfaces, instead of resisting it or judging yourself for feeling it, simply accept that it is there. By allowing it to be without fighting against it, you stop giving it additional energy. This acceptance doesn't mean indulging in the pain, but rather allowing it to pass through you without attaching to it. When you resist the pain, you make it stronger, but when you accept it, you allow it to dissipate naturally. The journey of dissolving the pain body is not about getting rid of all negative emotions forever. Instead, it's about learning to relate to these emotions differently, seeing them as temporary visitors rather than identifying with them. When you bring presence to your pain, you no longer feed it with your thoughts and resistance. Over time, the pain body loses its grip, and you find yourself experiencing more peace and lightness in your daily life. The concept of the pain body is one of the most transformative teachings in The Power of Now. It helps us understand why we sometimes react in ways that seem out of proportion, and it provides a clear path to healing and freedom. By bringing awareness and presence to the pain body, we can dissolve old emotional baggage and free ourselves from the cycle of suffering. Stay with me as we continue exploring Tolle's teachings, diving deeper into how to transcend the ego and cultivate true peace in every moment of our lives. The ego's influence. In The Ego's Influence, Eckhart Tolle explains how the ego plays a central role in creating unhappiness and disconnect in our lives. The ego is that part of us that constantly needs to feel superior, in control, or separate from others. It is deeply rooted in our identities, opinions, and judgments, everything we think we are. According to Tolle, the ego is not our true self, but rather an illusion of who we think we need to be. It's a construct that keeps us disconnected from the present moment and from others, fueling dissatisfaction and suffering. The ego is like a hungry entity that constantly needs to feed. It does this by creating and thriving on drama, conflict, and comparison. It loves to keep us in a state of needing to prove ourselves or feeling like we're not enough. The ego's sense of identity is built on separation. It needs to feel distinct and superior, which means it often views others as threats or obstacles. The more we identify with our egos, the more we find ourselves getting caught up in negative emotions like jealousy, resentment, pride, or fear. The ego doesn't want to live peacefully. It needs problems to exist, and it will often create conflicts where none really exist just to maintain its sense of importance. The ego also loves to dwell in the past and worry about the future, and it convinces us that our sense of worth or happiness lies somewhere out there, in what we achieve, in what others think of us, or in accumulating things. It keeps us in a constant state of seeking and striving, always needing more, always feeling incomplete. This is why living through the lens of the ego often leads to a feeling of never being truly satisfied or at peace. But Tolle offers hope. We can transcend the ego and find a deeper, more authentic sense of peace by becoming aware of its influence and refusing to identify with it. The first step is simply noticing the ego when it arises. When you feel the need to be right, to prove yourself, or when you feel jealousy, anger, or pride, take a step back and observe. This observation creates a distance between your true self and the ego. It's important to remember that you are not the ego. You are the awareness that can observe it. This awareness is the doorway to freedom. One of the key strategies Tolle suggests is practicing presence. The ego cannot exist in the present moment. It lives in the past and future, reliving past hurts or fantasizing about future achievements. By focusing on the here and now, you take the power away from the ego. Whether it's feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, taking a deep breath, or listening to the sounds around you, every moment you're fully present is a moment the ego loses its control. Another powerful strategy is to let go of the need to label or judge. The ego loves labels. It needs to categorize people, events, and experiences to feel a sense of control. By letting go of judgments and simply accepting things as they are, you start to transcend the ego. Instead of seeing life as a series of good or bad experiences, you begin to experience it as it is, free of the mental commentary that the ego loves to add. Tolle also talks about practicing non-resistance. The ego thrives on resistance. It wants to fight against what is, to push back against anything it perceives as a threat to its identity. When we practice acceptance and non-resistance, we are no longer feeding the ego. This doesn't mean passively accepting harmful situations, but rather not allowing the ego's voice of fear, anger, or resentment to dictate our actions. Another important aspect is recognizing the ego in our relationships. The ego often sees others as competitors or threats, leading to conflicts and misunderstandings. To transcend the ego in relationships, Tolle suggests practicing deep listening. Listening without judging, defending, or planning your response. Simply being present with another person without letting the ego's voice take over allows for true connection and understanding. Gratitude is another powerful tool to transcend the ego. When you focus on what you're grateful for, the ego's constant desire for more fades into the background. Gratitude brings you into alignment with the present and shifts your focus away from what's lacking or what needs to be achieved to be enough. Transcending the ego is a lifelong journey, and it requires vigilance and awareness. It's not about eliminating the ego completely, since it's a part of the human experience, but about recognizing when it's taking over and consciously choosing to live from a place of presence and awareness rather than from ego-driven reactions. The more you practice this awareness, the more peace and fulfillment you will find, and the less control the ego will have over your life. The ego's influence can be powerful, but Tolle reminds us that the real you, the self that lives in awareness and presence, is far more powerful. By choosing to live from this place of awareness, you can transcend the ego and experience life in its fullest, most authentic form. Let's continue as we explore how the power of presence can heal and transform every aspect of our lives. Enlightened Relationships. In Enlightened Relationships, Eckhart Tolle explains how living in the present can completely transform our relationships, turning them into deeper, more authentic connections. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, often bring both great joy and great challenges. Tolle suggests that many of the difficulties we face in our relationships arise from living through the ego and failing to be present with the other person. Most people approach relationships with a lot of unconscious baggage. We carry old wounds, unfulfilled needs, and ideas about how others should behave in order to make us happy. This approach often leads to dependency rather than true love, as we start to look to others to fill a void or make us feel whole. Tolle calls this type of relationship an egoic relationship. It's built on conditions, expectations, and fear. The ego wants control and validation, and when these needs aren't met, it can lead to conflict, disappointment, or even resentment. But Tolle suggests that there is a way to move beyond these egoic patterns to create enlightened relationships. The foundation for these kinds of relationships is presence. Being present means fully seeing and accepting the other person as they are, without letting the mind's judgments or expectations cloud your view. It's about experiencing the other person in the moment, without the lens of past grievances or future expectations. When you are present, you can truly listen and be there for the other person, and this creates a space where real, authentic connection can grow. Tolle emphasizes the importance of moving from dependency to true love by being whole within yourself. This means not expecting another person to complete you or make you happy. Instead, you cultivate a deep sense of inner peace and fulfillment that you can bring into the relationship, rather than trying to extract it from the other person. When two people enter a relationship with this sense of wholeness, the relationship becomes a space where both people can grow and evolve rather than a source of constant need or conflict. Being present in daily interactions is key to creating and maintaining enlightened relationships. This means practicing presence not just during significant moments, but in every interaction. Whether it's having a conversation over dinner or simply sitting together in silence, the goal is to be there without distractions, fully engaged with the other person. When you are present, you stop seeing the other person through the filter of your ego, and you start to see them for who they truly are. You're no longer reacting from past hurts or projecting your own fears onto them. You're just being with them as they are. Tolle also talks about the power of acceptance in relationships. Many of the conflicts we face come from our inability to accept others as they are. We want people to change or meet our expectations, and when they don't, we feel frustrated. But by practicing presence, we can learn to accept others without the need to change them. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means approaching the other person from a place of compassion and understanding, rather than from judgment or a desire to control. Deep listening is another important aspect of enlightened relationships. Most of us listen to respond, not to understand. We're often too busy formulating our next point or thinking about how what's being said affects us. But true connection comes from listening with presence, really hearing what the other person is saying without letting your mind interrupt or judge. When you listen in this way, you're giving the other person the gift of your full attention, and this creates a deep sense of trust and connection. Another key element is letting go of expectations. The ego often creates expectations about how others should behave to make us feel loved or valued. When these expectations aren't met, we feel disappointed or resentful. By letting go of these expectations and focusing on the present, we open ourselves up to experiencing the other person as they truly are, without the filters of what we think they should be. This creates space for true love to flourish, a love that is unconditional and not based on the other person meeting our needs or desires. In enlightened relationships, both people are committed to staying present with each other, even during difficult times. This doesn't mean there won't be disagreements or challenges. It means approaching these challenges from a place of awareness rather than reactivity. Instead of letting the pain body or ego take over during an argument, both people can step back, become present, and approach the situation from a place of understanding rather than defensiveness. Enlightened relationships are about seeing the divine essence in the other person, their true self beyond the ego. When we recognize this deeper part of ourselves, it becomes easier to see it in others. This recognition brings a sense of peace and unity, and it allows us to move beyond the surface level of relationships into a deeper, more meaningful connection. By practicing presence and letting go of egoic needs, relationships can become a beautiful part of our spiritual growth. Spaces where we can learn about ourselves, deepen our capacity to love, and experience the true joy of connecting with another human being. Let's continue as we explore more ways to experience the power of now and transform every aspect of our lives, including our relationships. Freedom from unhappiness. In Freedom from Unhappiness, Eckhart Tolle addresses one of the most profound insights of his teachings. True happiness is not about accumulating positive experiences or avoiding negative ones. It is found in the absence of resistance to the present moment. Most of the unhappiness we experience is not from the actual circumstances we face, but from our resistance to those circumstances. When we argue with reality, when we wish things were different, or when we resist what is happening, we create inner tension and suffering. The ego loves to resist what it cannot control. Whether it's a traffic jam, a difficult conversation, or a major life challenge, our immediate response is often to fight against it, wishing it were different. This resistance creates an emotional pain, an underlying sense of unease, and ultimately unhappiness. Tolle suggests that the way to find true freedom from unhappiness is to accept whatever is happening right now, no matter how imperfect it may be. This doesn't mean you have to like or condone everything that happens, but it means you can choose not to fight against it internally. Acceptance brings a sense of peace, as you stop expending energy on resisting what is. Learning to observe negative emotions without being consumed by them is a critical aspect of finding freedom from unhappiness. Negative emotions are a natural part of life. We all feel anger, fear, sadness, or frustration at times, but the problem arises when we identify with these emotions, when we allow them to become part of our identity. Tolle teaches that negative emotions only gain power when we react to them or allow them to define us. Instead, we can observe these emotions as they arise, watching them as though they are temporary visitors passing through our consciousness. For example, if you feel anger rising, instead of getting lost in the story of why you are angry and justifying your anger, try simply noticing it. Acknowledge it. I feel anger right now. By doing this, you create a gap between your true self, the observer, and the emotion. You are no longer the anger. You are the one who is witnessing it. This awareness diminishes the power of the negative emotion and prevents it from taking over your thoughts and actions. Tolle also emphasizes the importance of acceptance as the path to inner peace and freedom. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means fully embracing the present moment, as it is, without the need to mentally label or judge it. When you accept what is, you are no longer wasting energy on wishing things were different. This acceptance brings a deep sense of peace. It's not about passively allowing injustice or harm, but rather about choosing not to resist internally. From this place of peace, you can respond to life's challenges more effectively, rather than reacting out of fear or frustration. One practical exercise that Tolle recommends for finding freedom from unhappiness is to practice deep breathing whenever you feel overwhelmed by negative emotions. By focusing on your breath, you bring yourself back to the present moment, away from the stories that your mind is telling you about why you should be unhappy. Breathing deeply and consciously can help you move from a state of resistance to a state of acceptance. Another powerful tool is to ask yourself, can I be at peace with this moment? This question helps to shift your focus away from what you think should or shouldn't be happening and toward accepting what is. Often, simply asking this question can dissolve much of the inner resistance you feel and bring you a sense of calm, even in the midst of challenging situations. Acceptance also involves letting go of the expectations and narratives that the ego has created. The ego often sets standards for how life should unfold, and when reality doesn't match these standards, it creates unhappiness. By letting go of these mental expectations and being open to whatever life brings, you free yourself from the constant discontent that arises from unmet expectations. Finding freedom from unhappiness is about transcending the ego's need to control and judge everything. It's about surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that each moment, no matter how challenging, has something to offer. When you live in a state of acceptance and non-resistance, you discover an inner freedom that is not dependent on external circumstances. This inner freedom is the essence of true happiness. It's the kind of peace that comes from within, irrespective of what is happening around you. Tolle reminds us that this state of freedom and happiness is available to us at all times. It's not something we have to seek or achieve. It's something we can experience right now by choosing to be present and by letting go of the resistance that keeps us trapped in unhappiness. Let's continue our journey through the power of now as we uncover more ways to transcend the limitations of the mind and experience the freedom that comes from living fully in the present moment. The power of surrender. In The Power of Surrender, Eckhart Tolle delves into the transformative idea of surrendering to what is. For many, the word surrender often carries negative connotations. It might sound like giving up or becoming passive in the face of life's challenges. But in Tolle's teachings, surrender is not about resignation or accepting defeat. It's about letting go of the inner resistance that keeps us disconnected from the present moment. It's a path to true peace and freedom, and it allows us to flow with life instead of constantly battling against it. To surrender means to accept the present moment fully, without wishing it were different or trying to control it. Most of us are conditioned to believe that we need to fight, resist, and push our way through life to get what we want. We tend to resist situations that don't match our expectations, which leads to stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. Tolle argues that this inner resistance is one of the main causes of human suffering. By surrendering, we choose to release the mental and emotional struggle, accepting reality as it is. One of the key aspects of surrender is understanding the difference between surrender and resignation. Resignation is about giving up, feeling defeated, and believing that there's no hope for change. It's a passive state that comes from a place of disempowerment. In contrast, surrender is a powerful act of conscious acceptance. It doesn't mean you stop taking action or striving for change. It simply means you stop fighting what is happening in the present moment. You still take action, but you do so from a place of calmness and clarity, not from a place of resistance or frustration. When you surrender, you are not condoning everything that happens. You are simply recognizing that at this moment, whatever is happening is already happening, and your resistance to it won't change that fact. By accepting it, you can move forward without the burden of negativity or the weight of inner conflict. This acceptance doesn't make you passive. Rather, it makes you more effective because you are responding to life from a place of awareness rather than reacting out of fear or anger. Tolle uses the metaphor of a river to explain the power of surrender. Imagine trying to swim upstream against a strong current. No matter how hard you try, you exhaust yourself without making much progress. Surrendering is like turning around and letting the current carry you. You conserve energy, and you allow life to carry you to new possibilities that you may not have imagined while you were struggling. Allowing life to unfold without resistance doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it means you're more in tune with the natural flow of life, and therefore more able to handle challenges as they come. One of the practical steps to practice surrender is to become aware of when you are resisting something internally. Pay attention to your body. Do you feel tension in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or a tightening in your shoulders? These physical sensations are often signs of inner resistance. When you notice them, take a deep breath and bring your awareness to the present moment. Simply acknowledge what you are feeling without judgment, and allow yourself to soften into acceptance. Another important part of surrender is letting go of the stories your mind creates about what's happening. The mind loves to create narratives. It labels situations as good or bad. It worries about the future, and it holds on to past grievances. By letting go of these mental stories and focusing on the now, you can move into a state of surrender. This doesn't mean ignoring practical issues that need to be addressed. It means not allowing your mind's judgments to create unnecessary suffering. Surrender also means recognizing that not everything is within your control. The ego wants to control every aspect of life, and when things don't go as planned, it resists and becomes frustrated. By surrendering, you acknowledge that there are many factors beyond your control, and that's okay. You can still take action where needed, but you release the need for everything to turn out exactly as you imagined. One powerful question Tolle suggests asking yourself is, can I let this be as it is? This question can be transformative, especially in moments of stress or challenge. By asking this, you're inviting yourself to release resistance and to allow the present moment to unfold without fighting against it. This creates space for peace, and it often allows for creative solutions to emerge, solutions that might not have been visible when you were caught up in resistance. Surrender doesn't mean you lose your power. It means you access a deeper kind of power. The power of surrender is the power of peace and presence. When you surrender, you're no longer wasting energy on resisting life. You're fully engaged with it. This engagement is not forced or strained. It's natural and effortless. You find that you can handle whatever life brings with a sense of calm and clarity. Ultimately, the power of surrender is about trusting in the intelligence of life itself. It's about believing that, even in moments of uncertainty or difficulty, life is unfolding exactly as it should. This trust allows you to face each moment with grace, knowing that there is a deeper purpose and wisdom in everything that happens. As we move forward in this journey through the power of now, let's embrace the practice of surrender, allowing each moment to be as it is and finding the profound freedom that comes from letting go of resistance. Stay tuned as we explore the final aspects of Tolle's teachings, discovering how to live fully present in every moment of our lives. Conclusion: living in the now for true freedom. As we wrap up our journey through the power of now, Eckhart Tolle leaves us with a powerful reminder. True freedom, true peace, and true happiness can only be found in the present moment. All of our striving, our worrying, our longing for a better future, or our regrets about the past keep us trapped in a state of mental suffering. The only place where life truly happens, where joy can be experienced, and where we can be at peace, is in the now. Living in the now means letting go of the mental noise that keeps us from experiencing the fullness of life as it is. We often live in a perpetual state of waiting for something to happen, for life to get better, for ourselves to be different, for the world to align with our expectations. This constant state of anticipation robs us of the beauty of the present moment. Tolle encourages us to stop waiting and to start fully living right now. Life isn't something that will happen someday. It's happening right here, in this very moment. Mindfulness is the key to unlocking the power of now. By practicing mindfulness, we can learn to observe our thoughts without being caught up in them, to witness our emotions without being controlled by them, and to fully engage in whatever we are doing without distraction. Mindfulness means paying attention to the small details of life. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the taste of your morning coffee, the sound of birds chirping, or the feeling of your breath moving in and out of your body. These small moments are life, and by being fully present with them, we experience a depth of peace and joy that the mind alone could never provide. Tolle's message is also a call to awaken. He invites us to see through the illusion of the mind, the illusion that happiness is somewhere in the future or that we are incomplete without achieving something or becoming someone else. Awakening means realizing that we are already enough, that peace and happiness are our natural states, and that they are always accessible in the present moment. The mind creates endless problems, but the now is always free of problems. It simply is, and in that simple isness, we can find profound freedom. Living in the now doesn't mean ignoring practical aspects of life or avoiding responsibilities. It means bringing the clarity and presence of the now to every action we take, every decision we make. When we are present, we are more effective, more focused, and more in tune with our intuition. We respond to life from a place of awareness, not from a place of fear, stress, or compulsion. As you move forward, Tolle encourages you to take small steps toward implementing the practice of mindfulness in your daily life. Start by dedicating a few moments each day to simply being present, whether it's through meditation, taking a few deep breaths, or consciously bringing your attention to the moment when you feel yourself drifting into worry or stress. These small steps can gradually transform your relationship with the present moment, and with that transformation comes a sense of freedom and joy that no external achievement can bring. Awakening is a journey, and every moment presents an opportunity to practice. When you find yourself caught up in thoughts about the past or future, Simply take a deep breath and return to the present. This is the essence of Tolle's message. Life is here and now, and when we awaken to this truth, we find the peace that we've been searching for all along. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the power of now. I hope these insights have helped you see the incredible freedom and peace that are available in every moment. Remember, the power to change your life lies not in the future, but in your ability to embrace this moment, right now. Let's make a commitment to live fully in the present, because that is where true freedom lies. If you enjoyed this summary and found it insightful, please like and share this video, and feel free to comment below with your thoughts on how you're practicing being in the present moment. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our upcoming summaries of other transformative books. Let's keep growing, keep awakening, and keep living in the now.